Hi, I'm Helen, Head of SEO at Reflect Digital, and welcome to the first Reflect Roundup of 2018. And in celebration of this monumental occasion, we are going to focus today's Reflect Roundup solely on digital assistants. So, CES, the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, began yesterday, and both Google and Amazon had some exciting news about Google Assistant and Alexa, respectively. Google has announced that it is expanding the amount of devices that Google Assistant is going to be available on, including things like smart TVs, cars, and even headphones. That means you can be listening to music and shouting at Google Assistant at the same time. Apparently, Google Assistant is already available on over 400 million devices, and Alexa is going to be available on more. So Amazon is not going to be outdone by Google and has increased the amount of devices that Alexa is being installed in. So things like a smart mirror and the LG fridge, which is fascinating really, a smart fridge that can tell you how to cook a recipe from the ingredients in itself. It's amazing. So this essentially means that voice search is not going away. In fact, it's going to be available in many more situations where traditional search isn't. So for instance, if you are cooking and you want to start a timer or you want to get information about a product that you're using in your recipe, then you can do all of that from the variety of different connected devices in your kitchen. You don't have to stop what you're doing and start typing into your laptop or onto your phone, but actually you can just ask Google Assistant or Alexa and the information will be there for you. The question is Google or Amazon going to win out in this? Because if they're each being added to different types of devices, then eventually it's going to be saturated, but people will be choosing whether they want to be a Google household or an Amazon household, because it's going to be quite confusing if you have different devices with different assistants. So essentially one of them will win in the end, but at the moment, who knows? So what do digital assistants mean for your company? Well, Google has recently started sending out notifications via Google Search Console to webmasters in the US who have things like podcasts or recipes or news on their websites, telling them how they can make that type of content more accessible for Google Assistant actions. Now, Google Assistant actions seem to be things that the Google Assistant will be able to do with that content on your site, a bit like the Alexa skills. So for instance, if you are a podcast company, a podcast website, Google Assistant will be able to play those podcasts straight off of the website without any additional software or technology required. So Google has published a directory of all of the different actions that are available. And if you are a website with that type of content and you're in the US, then you have been given additional information about how to make that content more available. And this includes having your own personalized directory of skills. So Google suggests that if you have one of these available, you claim it and then you can personalize it by putting your own branding on it, that kind of thing. So it's all very interesting and just shows that if you are serious about making your website accessible to voice search, you need to start looking at how the search engines are interacting with this content on your site. Handily, Google has recently announced that they are releasing the Google Assistant and Voice Search Quality Guidelines, that's the official title. These are similar to the Search Raters Guidelines that came out last year, which essentially were instructions for the humans at Google who assess websites and assessed how well the algorithms are returning content for particular queries. But this time it's for voice search, so it helps these people to assess whether the algorithms are bringing back the type of information in the type of format that a user might want them to. So it's not necessarily giving you guidance exactly on what they would be looking at on your website, because they don't really evaluate websites in that way, but it's more about how well the algorithm is performing. But what it does do is give us a bit of a clue as to the sort of things that they would want the voice search to be bringing back. So information like how long is the content that would be returned in a voice search? How easy to understand is that content over being heard rather than being read? And how easy to pronounce some of the words in that content, because all of this stuff would impact how pleased a user would be by receiving this information returned to them through a voice search. So when you're writing your content, the same advice still applies. You need to be writing content for users, not just the search engines, but you also need to consider how will this content sound if it's read back audibly rather than read back by a user on a screen. So all of this is really interesting, a bit of a snapshot of things to come. So stay tuned, and definitely stay tuned to the Reflect Roundup, because I'll be back again next week.